right, folks, we're back here on the JR the Bossman Show. WDJY 99.1 Straight Talk. Boss Beckler here. Got another great show for you this week. As we told you last week, you can check the show out. BossmanRadio.com is getting redone. The iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Play Music, TuneIn. Blog Talk Radio has the single shows. We have a lot of different platforms, people. You just got to check them out. Stick with the show, follow the show on Twitter. I hope you saw my pictures from the Hawks game this weekend against the Chicago Bulls. Their marketing kid going to be special, man. It was Hawks throwback night, 7th night, the Hawks game. Sir Foster doing his thing, doing his musical talents. Big Tigger doing big things on DJing. Ryan Cameron calling all the shots with the for threes. Good day for us, Bossman Show. On Twitter, Jared the Bossman, Instagram. Check it out. Stick with us on the show. Last week's emails was crazy. The Boss Report was crazy. JC segment was crazy. John, last week's show was off the chain, man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed last week's show. We had a good time. This week's show is shaping up to be another good show. We've got one of our favorite guys from the NFL world, John McClain, coming on, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Houston Chronicle, yeah. John McClain, he's coming up next. He used to call into the studio lines here to talk to us some football for 2 segments, people. That's 2 segments. 4 bracelets.
Yeah, he's always got the inside scoop on everything too. My man's been around for a while, so he knows the ins and outs of everything that's going on. You know, he knows how to read the tea leaves. When you look at some of these situations that are out there and there's a lot of speculation, there's no speculation in his reporting because he knows, man.
John McClain's been covering the NFL so long and I've been alive.
Right.
I was born in 87. This man been doing it since 1979. You feel me? 79. He's been covering the NFL since 1979.
Plus, we got more. We got more Boss Report. We got more emails. You got some emails for me this week. What's up with the emails?
I got emails for you, John. Email basket hollabosscommercial.com went crazy. My man Derek in Miami was the first normal email I've seen in a long time. Derek in Miami was so normal. We were shocked with the answer. My man Derek's email, like, dude, for real, it's normal email. Yeah. We got some emails for you. We'll try to get in as we can. I promise nothing. If we get on a tangent, like the ShamWow, or the Flex Seal, or the non-sticking pan,
right?
It's gonna happen, brother. Like, yes, I saw email. Where you gonna get my email? Well, I can't get everybody's email. We only got 12 minutes a segment or so. I know we got 4 hours, but I got to come up with sports and entertainment. I can't do an all-email show. So, John, I want to have an all-email show. I think we throw off the air with an all-email show.
Yeah, I don't know if we can make it through that, man. Like, we definitely would have trouble with that. Now, I do have my Bossman Show email thesaurus on deck over here, so I mean, I could do it if I needed to, but I'm telling you, man, you do 4 hours of emails, bro. You'd be delirious at the end of that.
I think we might be off the air there with DJY if that happened. So we may be excommunicated quickly from the air.
You're definitely you're increasing your percentage on getting booted off the air if you do a 4-hour email, right?
Maybe 2 segments is the most. Maybe a whole hour, maybe, but not 4 hours of it. No way, no how.
No doubt, but I'm looking forward to, man. Last week's show was on point. This week's show is shaping up to be on point. You never know, though. Someday we might get around to like a full hour worth of emails for, somebody cancels on us or, we're light on content. You never know. We might pop off and do an hour.
Exactly. So check out our station, WDJY 99.1 FM, Metro Atlanta, Straight Talk. Follow them on Twitter, WDJY FM. That's our flex station this year. Like I told you, they give us 4 hours, Saturdays, 8 to noon. You listen to it right now on your TuneIn apps. Listen live from the website, WDJY.com, Hype Media Global. They got you covered. Well, all the straight talk in the world, 99.1 FM, people. So we got the show. We got that this week. Like I said, Boss Report. We're going to talk to JC. We never know what he has for us this week. We don't know what he's going to have. We don't know what he has this week. For us, but we will find out about that when he calls in. Top 3 with Tyndall. We got that coming up this week as well. I'm the picking king in the world. We know that who wins that battle. So you know what it is always on the Bossman Show. JR and John, sports and entertainment. We're here to John. We're here to do what always entertain, educate, and electrify. Has it been the mission since this day one, John? Is it the day one mission here?
It's the day one mission, and the hardest part is the education part. Cause you be hearing those emails every week, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think we try to educate you to be smarter, not emailer like. You know what I'm saying? So yes, always trust, loyalty, and respect, and authenticity. Here's the Bossman Show. We're authentic. We're loyal. We respect you. Out here to entertain, educate, and electrify you every week. WJY on the BossmanShow.com, people. You feel me? Get at us. We got you covered. So, hey, look here. Great show for you. Kicking it off strong. John McClain. He's coming up next. 2 segments after this break. Bossman Show. JR and John. We here. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Travis Williams, President and CEO of Academics and Athletic Consulting, focusing on educating and empowering tomorrow's collegiate athletic leaders. My passion is for the education and genuine concern and care for today's student athlete. It's the centerpiece of my life's work. A college education, both in and out of the classroom, is a truly rewarding benefit. For more information on AAC, you can go to www.academicsandathleticsconsulting.com. Once again, www.academicsandathleticsconsulting.com. Or you can follow me on Facebook at Academics and Athletic Consulting, or Twitter at Coach TWill24, or Instagram Travis L. Williams 24. Or you can call me at 404-542-6079. Once again, AAC is very proud to partner with J.R. McHenry of the Bossman Radio Show, covering sports and entertainment across the country. Please tune in weekly for informative, entertaining, and expert analysis on today's sports and entertainment topics. Thank you.
Folks, we're here on the JR the Bossman Show. We have a great guest for you. I've told you that I was listening to John McClain when I was a kid in Nashville with my mother, with George Platts, one of the zone. I love this guy. I love his stories. I had him on our show once more again. There's the one on John McClain, Houston Chronicle. How you doing today? How's things in Houston today, John?
Things are great, JR. Great weather. Great time of the year. Getting ready to go to the Super Bowl. I think it'll be my 38th or 39th. I've lost track.
Oh, man, I tell you, that's great, man. That's a hell of a streak you have there. I'll hope to get that streak like you one day. I really do. Man.
You better live a long life, I can tell you that.
Well, I'm 30 now, so hopefully I can get to 70 years old still doing this, man. Hopefully I can.
You got a chance.
Yes, indeed. Well, as you know, John, I have roots in Nashville, and so I had to ask you about the hiring of Mike Vrabel as their new head coach. He was the Texas defensive coordinator, so you just talk to us like what kind of culture they get in Tennessee and what kind of person they get for the city of Nashville going forward.
I first dealt with Vrabel when I was covering the NFL, and I covered a lot of Patriot games in the playoffs and Super Bowls after the Oilers moved to Nashville in '96. So for 8 years, between the Oilers and the Texans, I traveled around the league, had the greatest job you could have, went wherever I wanted, and the Patriots were good at that point, so I loved Boston, spent a lot of time up there. and watch Vrabel be a great player on a great team. I got to know his inside linebacker, Ted Johnson, who I do a show with here in Houston on the Texans flagship. And Ted told me back then, he said, Mike Vrabel is going to be a head coach in the NFL. I said, how do you figure? He said, because it's just in his DNA. He said he after we go over game plans, he asked Romeo Crennel, the defensive coordinator, and Bill Belichick. He said he asked Romeo and Bill questions about coaching. He always wants to know about coaching, why they did this, why they did that, why they didn't do this, why they didn't do that. He said he wants to be a coach when he's retired. And so after he retired from a 15-year career, he went to his alma mater, Ohio State, to work for Urban Meyer. And he had a chance to go to the Patriots, but he wanted to branch out from being a Patriot. So when the Texans hired Romeo Crennel to work under Bill O'Brien in 2014, Romeo reached out to Vrabel. O'Brien knew him after 5 years with the Patriots. He came here. He was linebackers coach 3 years, defensive coordinator this year. And Mike still looks like he could play. He's 42. He's 6'4", 260. He's very animated, demonstrative. He kind of takes up the room. He's a good talker. He's very demanding of his players. I watched him coach those guys, turn players into, some were mediocre, became good. Jadeveon Clowney was injured and became great. And he took a guy like Zach Cunningham, second-round pick from Vanderbilt, and turned him into one of the most productive rookies. So he's known what he wanted to do, and he's worked for Bill Cowher and Bill Belichick, Romeo Crennel, Urban Meyer, Bill O'Brien here. And as he told the media at his news conference on Monday in Nashville, when they said, how do you know you're ready? He said, nobody knows for sure. When they do this, when they take over, he said, I'll make mistakes, but I won't make the same mistake twice. And I talked to Bill Parcells recently for a column on the Texans' new general manager, Brian Gain, and one thing he said was, you never know for sure how a head coach is going to do when he's doing it for the first time, and you never know how a general manager is going to do. He said, until you have the head that wears the crown, you never know for sure. But everybody that has worked with Vrabel knew he was going to be a head coach, not a matter of if, but a matter of when, and he was able to pull it off very early in his career.
Now, John, I wanted to take you over to another coaching situation, not a first-timer, but a new coach. It's kind of an open secret, I guess, that Josh McDaniels is going to be the next head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. If that does, in fact, turn out to be the case, how do you think he'll do his second time around as an NFL head coach?
Well, Josh McDaniels is definitely going to the Colts, and if he learned from his mistakes the first time, and he was awful with the Broncos, and the reason was the guys who spend their entire career with the Patriots, and this is something Matt Patricia's got to worry about in Detroit. When they've spent their entire career there and they get a head coaching job, they have to realize they're not the Patriots, they're not Belichick, they don't have Brady. A guy like Bill O'Brien, who's been the most successful former Belichick assistant, he was there 5 years, but he also worked for George O'Leary and Ralph Friedgen in college, so he had different ways to do things. The guys like Patricia and McDaniels the first time, they know no other way. And McDaniels has said he learned a lot. He keeps a record of mistakes he made, things he needs to do different. And the main thing he needs to know, he cannot be Belichick. And I'm thinking that he probably knows that. He's a really good offensive coach. We all know that. Brady swears by him. Belichick swore by him. But he can't think he's going to do things in Indianapolis like they do in Indy. I was covering the Oilers when Belichick was in Cleveland. He was terrible. He got in the playoffs one time. And when he got fired, we all thought he'd spend the rest of his career as defensive coordinator for Bill Parcells when they were reunited. And when he got hired by New England, we thought at the time, wow, what a bad decision by Robert Kraft. he made that decision to stick it to Parcells, and it turned out to be one of the greatest in the history of sports. So if Josh McDaniels has learned, he's got a chance to succeed, and it'll be a whole lot better if Andrew Luck can come back healthy.
Got that right. We got John McClain here on the Bossman show from Houston Chronicle. And John, looking at the AFC South, like you said, I have to come in Belichick South. You got Vrabel in Tennessee, O'Brien in Houston, Marone's referred by him, and you have McDaniels going to Indianapolis. So, in the future, I think this will be AFC South be one of the more competitive divisions in the whole league, one of the best divisions with Mariota, star power, Deshaun Watson, and you have also Luck in Indianapolis.
If Andrew Luck comes back from the torn labrum surgery and doesn't need surgery on his biceps, they won't know that for sure until he starts throwing and they see if he can throw hard without pain, which he couldn't last season. And if Mike Vrabel can get a coach in there who can turn around Mariota, who regressed this season, even though they made the second round of the playoffs, along with Bortles was improved. Nobody knows if Jacksonville's going to commit to him or maybe try to trade for a guy like Alex Smith or possibly Eli Manning, although I don't think the Giants are going to trade Eli. But the division should be better. It should be more competitive. And Deshaun Watson was on a pace to throw 43 touchdown passes and run for 6 as a rookie. And in his last 5 starts, he started 6 games. They averaged 34 points a game. In his last 5 games, they averaged 39. And in the 4 games in which he had DeAndre Hopkins playing with his other receiver, Will Fuller, they averaged 40.5. So people here are really fired up about not just Hopkins, but the Texans had 13 starters on injured reserve, 20 players overall, as opposed to a team like Jacksonville that was missing 1 starter. So injuries play into it, of course, but I look for the division to be so much better, kind of like the way the AFC West was until this season, the way the NFC East has been. And the best division to me is the NFC South. The team that I picked, Tampa, was the worst. And right now, to me, the NFC South, top to bottom, has the best quarterbacks.
Now, John, I'm a lifelong Clevelander, okay? So I've struggled through with the Browns.
My condolences.
Well, listen, I came in when I first started following the Browns when I was real young in, pre-middle school. 5th, 6th grade is when I can remember watching them play the Broncos in the playoffs and having some of those great teams in the late 80s, early 90s. I lived through the whole Belichick era that you touched on earlier in the show. And, I don't want to belabor a team that's gone, 1-31 in the past 2 years, but I figure we might as well touch on it and see where in the hell this team is going, because I've always been, since I've followed the team, been a proponent of leaving guys in place from a coaching perspective for at least 4 to 5 years, because it seems like their Achilles heel in the front office through the course of this whole mess that they've been in since they came back in '99 has been a short trigger with coaches. And going back all the way to Chudzinski, I said they should have kept that guy around just to give him some time to work a system. They have no system in place. They always get rid of these guys after a year, 2 years, 2.5 years, and there's no system built up there. So I'm interested to get your opinion on A, where Cleveland is headed, and B, where they should be headed if it's not the direction that you would agree with from a philosophical standpoint.
Jim Haslam made a terrible mistake with the last time that he elevated or moved Sashi Brown from the administrative side to be a general manager. Sashi's very smart, but he wasn't a personnel guy. Now, that being said, he's left him in good shape. And then he hired Paul DePodesta from the Mets, and everybody thought he was going to change the way the NFL does business with analytics. The NFL's been doing analytics for years. They don't brag about it like baseball does. That's why you have offensive and defensive quality control coaches. They've got every kind of number and tendency you could ever have. And everybody in the league thought that was a mistake. We didn't know about Hugh Jackson. You had 1 year with the Raiders. He was 8-8, never could figure out why he was fired one season after he went 8-8. Never heard a good explanation, but he was highly regarded as an offensive coordinator. Now, I can tell you for a fact, they have a personnel department that is outstanding. Haslam's finally got it right. Hiring John Dorsey before the Giants had a shot at him was smart, and then he got the big turnover in Green Bay, he took advantage of it to bring in Alonzo Highsmith. I've known Alonzo for 30 years, since the Oilers drafted him 3rd overall in '87. And I know from dealing with him, players he liked in the draft, players he didn't like. He is a terrific personnel man and a terrific judge of character, which a lot of it goes into a decision. And then Elliott Wolf, Ron Wolf's son, everybody says is going to be a general manager. They got him away from Green Bay. And it wouldn't surprise me if eventually Scott McClain doesn't end up with them, that they get the band back together from Green Bay. That is a tremendous personnel department. And they're loaded with picks. You know, they have theirs and the Texans and then 3 2s. And also keep in mind the thing that bothers me the most, an owner who hires a general manager should not force him to keep a coach. Jim Haslam has told John Dorsey, you are the head coach. If you want to keep you keep him. If you want to hire somebody else, you do it. Because the odds are they keep you, and he might win a few games next year, and he's still going to be gone, because you know Dorsey has some coaches that he likes. You know, maybe he would have hired Matt Nagy from Kansas City who went to Chicago. You don't know. So that's the only thing I don't like about it. I think they're going to get, with that staff, they're going to get 2 difference makers with those first 2 of their first 4 picks in the draft, and then they'll load up. And I think everything is going to be good for the Browns. They've only got one way to go, of course, but I do think that they can get out there right away and win a few games. But I still think they're destined to have a new coach in 2019.
Folks, we got John McClain with us. He'll be back for us. One more segment after this question. We got one more segment with John McClain, people, so say something to that, people. No, John, Greg Knapp, a guy who you and I both know pretty well, was hired as quarterback coach here in Atlanta under Steve Sarkisian. I want to ask both sides from this perspective about Greg Knapp, John. Will he help Steve Sarkisian be a better game manager with play calling and help veto some plays? Maybe it's like, hey, let's just run the ball more, be more balanced, call plays with Julio Jones more. So we feel like Greg Knapp will bring to the Falcons offensive side of the ball this next season coming up here.
Well, that depends on how much authority Dan Quinn wants to give him, how much Steve Sarkisian wants to listen to him. Now, Knapp was here with the Texans. He did a really good job as quarterback coach under Gary Kubiak. And Greg's bounced around. He's been a coordinator. He's been a quarterback coach. And I just know how he did here, and they all swore by him. And then Kubiak got him, and he left here to be offensive coordinator in Oakland. Then when Kubiak went to Denver, he brought him there. So I think that was a terrific move. And, you know, Matt Ryan didn't play, we all know, as well this season as he did last season when he was MVP. And he's certainly capable of it. They've got the weapons, and sometime a new quarterback coach is just what the quarterback needs. The coordinator is going to coach him a lot, but on game days, you know, it just depends on how much Sarkisian wants to let Greg suggest things to him. Now, Sarkisian knows him better than Knapp, but overall, I just think that was a really good move based on what I know about Knapp.
Folks, we had John McClain on the Bossman Show.
All your photo, video, and voiceover needs, check out the fine folks at Blueberry Productions. They will take good care of you. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself. Check out their work at blueberryproductions.tv, the Facebook page, Blueberry Productions, also a Vimeo page, a YouTube page, and it's Blueberry, BLUBERRY, Prod on Twitter. Check them out today. Blueberry Productions, great people, great work, great service.
A gorgeous tan from Suntan City gives you an inner glow that relights the fire when you run into your first crush.
Vicky, who was that?
An old boyfriend.
Lucky you just tanned at Suntan City.
Lucky he's single. We're doing lunch tomorrow.
Won't be single for long then.
During Tour of the City, try all 5 tans, including spray tan, for just $4.99. Restrictions may apply. Click to buy now.
Hip-hop fans, I got a great album for you. The debut album from Family Grind ENT, True Speech and 313 Fresh. We're going to give you 2 discs, 33 songs of pure, genuine hip-hop. Albums available on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, illstreetrex.com, and streaming live right now on Rhapsody, Beats Music, Spotify, Xbox Music, Slacker Radio, and SoundCloud. Check them out today. True Speech and 313 Fresh. Family Grind ENT. Believe in it. Get it.
Mike Will made it, nigga.
All right, folks, back with John McClain on the Bossman Show. We're talking about Falcons football last question. We talked some Titans, AFC South. What's the AFC South theme here with John McClain? Now, John, I also want to get your point of view about Deshaun Watson. Where is he at in terms of rehab, and what are some areas in the Texans should address this offseason for us better around Deshaun Watson?
When Watson was the quarterback here, before he got hurt in practice, nobody really complained about the Texans' offensive line after they gave up 10 sacks in the opening game against Jacksonville. And when Watson was playing, when he went down, they were 3rd in the league in rushing, averaging 143 yards a game. They had Lamar Miller as the starter, rookie Deontay Foreman as a backup, and then they had Watson. Then Watson went down for the year. Foreman went down for the year, and so did their rushing statistics. So Bill O'Brien was the primary coach for Watson. He drew the game plan and called the plays, and they were doing some things that I haven't seen done. And this was my 38th year covering the NFL, with some things they did with motion and fakes and play action, and it was just exciting to watch. And then Watson got hurt, blew out his ACL on a little toss in practice. He just bounced a couple of times, came down wrong. Bill O'Brien told us at the end of the year he's ahead of schedule, and they'll have him back for OTAs, and they'll take it easy on him in OTAs, and then he'll be full go for training camp, and they will have at least 3, maybe 4 new starters in their offensive line. They're loaded at receiver. They're loaded at running back. They've got all their tight ends. They had 2 tight ends. The first 2 tight ends went on injured reserve, and they had an H-back and the backup lineman playing the position. So they've got all those guys back. So what they need to do is a better job up front, and they should, again, be one of, if not the highest-scoring team in the league based on what we saw in his 6 starts last season.
Now, John, I wanted to throw a comparison out there for you with coaches. Would you agree or compare the Brian Gain, Bill O'Brien pairing to the John Robinson, Mike Vrabel pairing in Tennessee? Do you think a setup like this works best for an organization?
Well, first of all, Bill O'Brien and the Texans GM Rick Smith. Rick had been there 12 years. He and Bill had been there 4 years, and like so many other marriages between coaches and GMs, Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones, John Gruden, Rich McKay, Bill Cowher, Tom Donahoe, Mike Holmgren, Ron Wolf, Floyd Reese, Jeff Fisher, John Butler, and Marty Schottenheimer. And it's happened other times. They just, you reach a point, like in a marriage, some point, you either work out your differences or you move on, and they moved on. And so Gain, who had been here for the last 4 drafts and free agent periods, got along very well with the coaches and O'Brien, as well as personnel people and the administrative people. He's the one that I was hoping that they would hire him. And a lot of people here in the media and fans didn't want him just because he'd been here. Well, his last 4 teams, 3 of his last 3 teams have been in the playoffs. And the fact that he gets along with everybody was important. They have harmony now. And one thing I told people Bob McNair, the owner, who was on the search committee with his son Cal, who's the chairman, and then O'Brien and the president, Jamie Roots, and then Jed Hughes from the Korn Ferry search firm. One of the things that McNair has access to is every scouting report that Brian Gain filed on the draft and free agency. And if he had made a bunch of bad recommendations, say he didn't want to trade up for Watson, or he didn't think Zach Cunningham could play, they wouldn't have hired him. But obviously, they looked at his recommendations, and there's nothing can be changed about that. And they looked at it, and they liked what they saw, and that's one of the reasons they hired him. So the difference in Tennessee is John Robinson was the GM doing the hiring, and he recommended Mike Vrabel to Amy Adams Strunk, who signed off on it, the owner. And in this case, it was the owner doing the hiring, and Bill O'Brien wanted him, of course, but the owner had he led the search. And so Bob McNair, through not just the recommendation of the other people, but what he saw in those scouting reports and what he knew of Brian Gain over the last 4 drafts and free agent periods, seemed to me to be a really good hire. It's like Bill Parcells. I did a column with him because he worked with Gain 3 places, hired him in Dallas and Miami. He went on and on about how he has everything it takes to be a top-flight general manager, but as he pointed out, you never know for sure with anybody when they get that decision-making responsibility.
Now, John, I want to ask you a follow-up question about Tennessee. Owners, they're living in Houston, Amy Adams family in Houston. Is Tennessee's ownership situation steady now? The NFL still frowns upon how it's set up in Tennessee for the ownership group.
I've never understood really what the complaint is. There's a lot of things when you've had families involved. The way Bud Adams set it up for his family, he has 2 daughters. He had 2 daughters. He's dead, of course, and he had the wife of his son who died in the 80s. So he left it to those 3 entities, and if 2 of the 3 voted away, that's what they did. If 1/3 wanted to sell their share, they could do that. So the problem is the third entity, his son's wife, who's remarried, her 2 sons, Kenneth Stanley Adams, the third, and then his son Barkley. Each of them, the mom and the 2 sons, have a third. So it's complicated, and the league can't make them sell if they even wanted to. And the main partner, Amy Adams Strunk, when you are designated as the managing partner, every team has to do this. That person has to own 30%, and you have to be liquid for 30%. Well, if your franchise worth, say, $1.5 billion, figure out 30% of that, and that's a lot of liquidity. But they're not complaining about it anymore. They were. I don't know if they've complied. Usually, if they don't like something that an ownership group is doing, they can fine them. But that doesn't mean squat. You know, that's tip money for them, and or they could find them draft choices, and they haven't ever done that. So I'm thinking they don't have a problem with it right now.
Now, you mentioned in the first segment how you embraced to go to Minnesota for your 30th Super Bowl. Now, how are you going to embrace for that cold in Minnesota, John? And will Minnesota, in your mind, be one of those one-off spots, kind of like how Detroit was back in 2004, I think it was, when Pittsburgh won?
Well, I had a great time in the one in 92 up there, and, you just embrace the cold. And at the time, we were downtown, the Metrodome's downtown. And I say we, I'm talking about the media. The NFL headquarters was downtown. In Minneapolis, you don't have to ever go outside. You have walkways connecting every building. So if you didn't want to go outside, you didn't have to. This year, they have put the media headquarters at the Mall of America, the largest mall in the world, and it's by the airport in Bloomington. And so that's where the headquarters are. All the media hotels, as well as the NFL headquarters, are all at airport hotels, and which is fine with me. I don't care, but there's no walkway from the airport Marriott where I'm staying across 2 parking lots. In the summer or during when the weather's nice, I've stayed there and walked with no problem. But if it's 5 degrees, it's going to be a little cold, so there's going to be a lot of shuttles. But Detroit, I liked it because we were all in the same place. Headquarters, interviews, everything was at the Renaissance Center. You never had to go outside if you didn't want to. But it's just one of those things you adjust. And the cold weather cities roll out the red carpet for the media because they want people to say nice things about their city. But with this, U.S. Bank Stadium is an incredible stadium. I got a tour of it last year when they played. The Texans played the Vikings, and it was magnificent. And now the Mercedes Dome in Atlanta, it's the new Taj Mahal. But I can't wait to get back up there because I tweeted this, I think, this morning. It's a privilege to cover a Super Bowl because every day I hear so many people I know tell me, friends, I'd love to go to a Super Bowl. I know other people in the media, like at my paper, the Houston Chronicle, said, man, I'd like to cover a Super Bowl. One time a player was giving me a hard time. This is about 5 years ago. And he said something like, how many Super Bowls have you been to? I've been to 3 or 2 or whatever. I said, well, let me think about it. I've been to 35.
Oh, shut him down.
Well, speaking of good stories, I was hoping to hear one from you about Paul Wall. JR and I were doing research for the show, and he told me that you're friends with Paul Wall. He's one of our favorite rappers from Houston, alongside Willie D and the Ghetto Boys. You got any cool stories about Paul Wall you can share with us?
Well, actually, that's stretching it. I've met Paul a couple times, but I'm not friends with him. But I do know a lot about him because he is such a diehard fan. His avatar is of the Oiler jersey. And I met Paul at a home run derby the Texans were doing at Minute Maid Park before an Astros game, and Paul participated. And he's from a little suburb here called Jersey Village, and I was with a couple of guys that grew up with him a couple of weeks ago, and they said they all used to play sports in the yard. And Paul was always big into the new kind of music that came up then, rap music, but nobody had any idea he would end up making a career out of it, and such a successful career with so much notoriety. But he's a big Astros fan, too, and like all of us who are Astros fans, he celebrated that World Series, let me tell you.
I bet, John. I can only imagine now. I cover basketball a lot, too, as well, outside of football. So what's been the buzz around the city of Houston with Chris Paul coming to town, and now they're possibly challenging the Warriors for Wisconsin supremacy this season?
Right now is the first time that they will have had all their players together. Paul's been hurt. He came back. Ian Harden played a little. Clint Capella got hurt. They just had 2 guys suspended twice for the incident in L.A. with the Clippers. So our basketball writer, Jonathan Fagan, and I saw him write today, this is the first time they've had their full complement of players. And seeing Harden and Paul together, and when those 2 play with Clint Capella, their big man, I think they're 18-0.
Wow.
And so they got on that good run. Then they hit a slump because Paul went out. So I think it's pretty clear right now, barring injury, they're the second best team in the West, and it's pretty clear they better get home court advantage if they want to have a chance to beat the Warriors. They just beat them here. They beat them out there in the first game of the season, but if the Warriors get a home court advantage, which I'm sure they will, I hope the Rockets at least take them to 7.
Now, John, I wanted to swing it over to baseball real quick as we wind down our time with you here and talk a little bit about the Astros World Series win, in how that dovetailed into the overall feeling in the city with the damage that was inflicted during the hurricane that hit the city so hard. Just give us an impression about how, A, that helped the city, and B, where the city stands today as far as recovering from that devastating hurricane.
There's a lot of people I read every day in the Houston Chronicle that have not gotten their insurance, have not gotten their relief from the government. They're still not able to go home, and it's just incredibly sad. And we have stories constantly about they need to spend billions to make sure this doesn't happen again by having more reservoirs and widening and deepening the bayous that run through our city. But the Astros galvanized the city. They're a very popular team. You know, they suffered for 3 years, and people kind of, it was like watching your baby stumble and fall. But, you know, you get high hopes for when your baby grows up. Now the baby grew up last year. And Jose Altuve is one of the most popular athletes in our city's history. And Carlos Correa is getting there. But the fact that people like them so much, they have a good group of guys. Now they got a tremendous starting rotation after trading for Garrett Cole. So a lot of people probably picked the Yankees because they added Giancarlo Stanton, but the Astros have added 2 relievers and a starter without having to give up anything. So we're looking forward to another good season. The day after they won it, everything was euphoric, and then Deshaun Watson goes down for the season. So it was like you're on top of the ceiling, and then boom, you crash land. And then the Rockets started and got off to a great start, and that got everybody fired up. Really, when Watson was playing and the Rockets were off to a great start and Astros were winning the World Series, it's the first time in our city's history when all 3 were good at once. And then when Watson got hurt, Texans collapsed. And then, of course, the Rockets are still going. It'd be great to have another championship, but people are pumped as the Astros, as you can imagine.
And I tell you what, I was cheering for you guys in the Astros. I was hoping because you all need that win for the city. And like I said, I love listening to the zone. I'll try to catch every time I can. When I see the tweet that you're gonna be on the zone, I try to catch it. Even though I'm down in Atlanta working, I try to make sure I see you because you was part of my childhood. I love all these stories. I learn so much from you all the time.
Thank you very much, JR. It's my 22nd year of being on the radio in Nashville. It's hard to believe the Oilers left 22 years ago. Thank you guys for having me on.
No problem, folks. This is John McClain on the Bossman Show. Check him out on Twitter. He's McClain on the NFL.
Fantasy football season is fast approaching, and if you're looking for an edge this season, you need to contact the guys at Draft Day Consultants. The concept is a simple one. Draft Day Consultants takes your requests and connects you with one of their trusted analysts, who then guide you through your draft. Whether you just need a sounding board on decisions, or if you need them to conduct your entire draft, Draft Day Consultants has you covered. Every one of their consultants has a proven track record of success, and have conducted hundreds, even thousands of mock drafts. Thanks to this year-round research and analysis, the guys at DDC have an unmatched understanding of player values. So gain an edge on your league mates this season by hitting up draftdayconsultants.com. That's www.draftdayconsultants.com. Now get after it, fantasy footballers.
Yeah, it's your man JC, the host with the most, baby, and it goes down each and every Saturday night right here in the city of Memphis. That's right, y'all. It goes down at Clicks Sports Bar Memphis, baby. 3705 Malco Way, Memphis, Tennessee, 38125. Come out and join us, the Three Kings, each and every Saturday night for the livest karaoke in the city. Everybody gets in free till 10 p.m. Only $5 after. Great food. We got drink specials. We got all kind of games, man. We got the pool tables popping. Whatever you want, we got you, man. Come on out. Have a good time with us each and every Saturday night. That's Clicks Sports Bar, Memphis.
Folks, back here on the Boss Man Show, we're joined by the Montana Grizzlies head coach, Travis DeCuire, here on the Boss Man Show. Coach DeCuire, how are things out there in Montana, man? I know it's probably colder than it is here down in Atlanta, man.
No question. Got hit with a little bit of snow today, but
Cold is what it's about out here in this area.
I hear you, Coach. Hey, Coach, last week we had snow here in Atlanta, 3 inches of snow here, 14 degrees. Coach, I about lost my mind. Because, see, I'm a Florida guy, Coach. I'm not used to no snow, man. I was messed up, man.
That's funny. We were in Atlanta back in the middle of December and got hit with snow while we were there, and we seen the whole town shut down.
Yes, indeed. Every time, Coach. If one speck, we done here.
That's about what it was, one speck.
Yes, indeed. Well, Coach, congrats on your 7-0 Big Sky play. You're winning 9 in the last 10 games, Coach, yourself with tough losses at Washington. So, Coach, talk to us about what's been the key factors for you and your team on the streak that you're on right now, starting conference play so hot so far.
For us, the biggest thing's been our defense. You know, we've got a team that can put some points on the board. We're averaging a little under 90 right now in conference play. But a lot of it has been off of our defense, our pace. You know, we're getting up and down pretty fast. But the things that have stood out statistically really for us is the fact that we forced turnovers and we're minimizing three-point shots to our opponent, which is allowing us to get out in transition a little bit.
Now, Coach, I want to talk about your non-conference play a little bit, Coach. How much do you attribute your team start to and going out and playing on a tough non-conference schedule, going on against some high majors there, competing with the high majors, beating Pittsburgh for sure, going down to the wire with Washington and those guys. So how much did that help you guys get ready for Big Sky play, playing at high major competition there?
A lot. You know, you learn from losses, for one. But I think it's been a 3-year process for us. We've been playing this tough schedule for the last 3 years. We've come close. You know, we double overtime loss to Cal. We've got a 4-point lead under a minute at Gonzaga. Let that game get away. And so we've got a program that feels that, you know, that we're good enough to win those games. We just need to figure out how. And then this year we went out and competed a little better, went down the wire, like you're saying, and pulled off a win. And so then our confidence is high. But then we had some mid-major losses. Georgia State, Santa Barbara, 2 teams that are also very strong. And we learned from those, you know, getting off the slow starts or whatnot. And the energy and effort it took us to get back in those games, I think we learned that if we can put 40 minutes together of that, then we can be a really good basketball team. And we've played that way since.
Now, Coach, playing Georgia State, Coach, Ron Hunter has all kind of different kind of zones he throws at you. How tough is that to prepare for all the zones he throws at you? How you adjust the zone depending on what you guys are doing? So how tough is it to prepare for the way that Georgia State plays defensively?
Almost impossible. You know, I mean, they're a well-coached group. They're very talented, athletic. And it's kind of like smoke and mirrors, you know, where it's a matchup. So you really can't play zone offense. You got to move them around with man principles offensively. And what might be there the first time down the floor probably isn't going to be there the next time down. So it's a game of adjustments and flow. And it took us about 20 minutes to just kind of get a feel for what it was they were doing. And by that time we were down 18 at half and work our way back to a tie game with about 40 seconds to go in the game. Just couldn't quite close it.
Coach John, Trevor DeCuire here on the Bossman show for the Montana Grizzlies. Now, Coach, looking at your roster, I love the mix of upperclassmen you have, with all the juniors you have, along with the young upcoming players you have. So, Coach, as you go to conference plays, you get to go to the big sky, you feel like the experience the young guys get in, your juniors are giving you right now, and your one senior as well, you have on the roster as well, will help you as you get down in March where it gets crucial on tough road games, tough conference, and get that bid to the big dance here.
No question. You know, with the junior class, 3, you know, 2 of them are transfers, so they're in their 4th year. Experience, one played Pac-12 ball, another transferring from the Big West. So the guys that came in with some experience and then redshirted a year, and so we're a little older. And what's happened for us here is the 2 freshmen and a sophomore who've got playing big minutes for us have had a chance to just continue to develop throughout the year, gain experience, gain confidence, and our depth has just continued to increase because of it.
And Coach, just what you kind of look for when you go out and recruiting each offseason, you want roster balance and class balance from freshmen, sophomore, redshirt juniors, or some few seniors picking in JC transfers or grad transfers. Is that kind of what you're looking for, a good mix of all of it, so you have your roster kind of always replenishing itself throughout the years here?
Yeah, our deal really is high school seniors and then D1 transfers. You know, guys that are either transferring straight across or down that might have a year or 2 under their belt. so they know what they're working on in their time of a red shirt. And then it allows us to be a little older, a little more mature. And, the teams that are successful at the mid-level, getting to the NCAA tournament, playing against high majors, typically are teams that are a little more experienced. And so once we become one of those experienced teams, we want to stay that way. And so knowing that we've got a junior class that's leading us in minutes played and scoring, that by the time they graduate, those freshmen, sophomores are going into junior, senior year, which allow you to always be older. And then their junior year, we should have a freshman class behind them, ready to roll and gain experience the same way. So hopefully we'll always have juniors and seniors leading us.
You got that right, Coach. And major ball, you must be older. Because if you're not, you could get killed.
No question.
You would get killed on a bit. Now, Coach, look at your stats, Coach.
Question.
I love your stats, man. You got 3 guys averaging 14 points a game, virtually pretty much. 5 guys with at least 4 points a game, balanced rebounding as well. 7 guys with 3 or more rebounds. So, Coach, when you guys this season make your season goals, was the goal for you guys to attack the glass and share the basketball and get everybody involved in defense and offense on the glass and scoring the ball a little bit here?
No question. If you can win the rebounding battle every night on both sides, percentage-wise, and have a high field goal percentage, low defensive field goal percentage, probably got a chance to win every night. And I've always believed the best way to do that is with balance, because you get one guy averaging 25, 30 a game. On his off night, you probably don't win. And I think for us, we've had a different guy step up and be the key player for us in each night. Saturday, Bobby Moorhead gets his first career double-double. The game before that, Michael Guinea goes for a career high 39. Game before that, Jamal Cole goes for a career high 34. But Ahmad Roy is our leading scorer at just under 20 a game. So I just think the balance is the best way to be consistent and have an opportunity to win every night.
Now, Coach, how do you keep your guys focused at one game at a time? Now, I look at the record, they're 7-0 in conference play. How do you keep them guys focused? Is, hey, we're focused on Southern Utah only. That's our biggest game, is this game coming up here. So how do you keep guys 19, 20 years old, 21 years old, 22 years old, focused on this one game at a time, one day at a time, playing practice at a time?
We over-communicate. We constantly give each other an assessment of who we are realistically. And your record never really defines who you are as a team, whether it's a losing record or a winning record. It's how much you can improve from one game to the next, how many adjustments you can handle making, and then avoiding slippage. And you're going to have it because we're human, so do we correct it? And we watch a ton of film. And so today, for 45 minutes, we watched everything we did wrong Saturday, as opposed to, patting ourselves on the back and enjoying the success. The success is enjoyed. You get about 24 hours to enjoy it, and you got to get back in the gym on Monday and get after it. So very little conversation about Saturday's game other than the things we need to correct. We'll come back, correct those things again tomorrow, and then Wednesday we'll prepare for Southern Utah one-day prep. But we constantly talk about respecting our opponent. It's one game at a time. And we've had enough adversity in the past, whether it's with this group or the group before them. We've had a team that, finished 10th in the league, cost us a conference championship 2 years ago. Last year, we beat the top half of the league, but we slipped in some games against 9, 10, and 11 that cost us an opportunity to win a championship. So this team has been scorned enough in the past to understand how important it is to show up for Southern Utah the same way you show up for Weber or Idaho. And if we continue to do that, we'll be okay.
Now, Coach, as you prepare for Southern Utah and Northern Arizona coming up in the weekend, so do you kind of just look, what are you seeing from the guys on film that you're going to try to attack this week against these guys as you get rid of these 2 home games coming up here?
Well, we try to pick up on what they did scheme-wise against us on both sides of the ball. We'll review those things. If there's some things we struggle with, we'll fix it. If there's some things that maybe we could take advantage of that we might have missed or that they had a problem stopping, we'll continue to do those things. And then, we got to watch, the recent games. Southern Utah, for an example, had one of their leading scorers not play against us last time. And so we got to make sure we're prepared for him impactfully. And then they had a post player that, our game was the second game of the season with them. So we just got to make sure they're still utilizing him the same way they did last time they played and what areas that we struggle in or what not. But everybody makes adjustments as the season goes on. We need to pick up on those adjustments that both Southern Utah and NAU have made prior to our game.
Now, Coach, last one for you I have for you is this, Coach. You speak about the quality of the Big Sky Conference. I know I watch you all games a little bit here on like ESPN3. I kind of see what you guys are doing out there, man. So talk about the coach in the league, the teams in the league. For a lot of people who in Atlanta who might not know about you guys, you gotta give us a little bit of a breakdown of your league as a whole. For people who might not know about it, who want to learn about the Big Sky Conference, can you share with us a little bit about it, please, Coach?
Well, in the past, it's when I first got here, our first 2 years here, the Big Sky was number one three-point shooting conference in the country, and so systematically you had to take away the three ball, and typically you'd have teams that played probably 4 perimeter players in one post, with the exception of maybe Weber State. The conference has grown over the years. Some new coaches, University of Idaho returning to our conference from the WAC. And what's happened is you've got transfers coming in, Pac-12, Mountain West, and then you've got a lot of schools redshirt guys and recruiting at a higher level. So now it's a more talented league. It's a deeper league than it once was. You probably got about 10 to 15 guards in this conference that can drop 25 on any given night, which is a sign of talent. Northern Colorado's led by a transfer from Arizona State. We've got a transfer from Oregon, transfer from Washington, transfer from Fullerton. And so it's an older league with red shirts. And what you're seeing this year is I think you've got about 4 teams that have high major wins, Pac-12, ACC, and then a number of Mountain West wins. So it's grown, it's deep, and it's more talented than it's ever been.
Now, Coach, I got one more for you, Coach. I heard what you just said. I would think, Coach, being out there on the West Coast with California, Washington, Oregon, and out of Arizona, those kind of states are right near you guys. It has to be great to recruit out there, get all these good players to come play for you guys.
No question. And you've got 3 head coaches right now in our conference that have been high major assistants in the Pac-12. You've got another head coach that was the interim head coach at UNLV for the second half of the season, and was a part of a staff that started Finley Prep that recruited at a high level and won national championships at the prep level. So you've got experience recruiting along with 2 head coaches at Idaho and Eastern and Weber State that have been coaching for a long time and have been a part of success. So there's a ton of experience. You got Cat at San Diego State or Sacramento State that's probably got one of the highest win percentages in junior college nationally. So a lot of experience coaching, a lot of experience recruiting, and you just, and like you say, location on the West. There's a lot of movement these days, in NC2A basketball. And with that being said, I think there's a few of us taking advantage of it and just trying to make sure we've got our ears to the ground and any opportunity we can get to get one of those kids that are transferring down. They're talented enough to play at a high level, but looking for a positive experience to come be impactful for our programs.
Well, I hear that, Coach. Coach, it's been lovely having you on the show, because I love to try to get my African American coaches on the show, because I'll try to give you all some airtime and some coverage. So I'm glad to get you on the show, Coach. I saw you guys have been doing well, so I want to get you on soon. So we'll look for you around conference tournament time, Coach, and wish you some luck with that as well. But good luck against Southern Utah and Northern Arizona this weekend, Coach. We'll talk to you down the road, man.
Thank you. I appreciate the love.
All right, folks. Travis DeCuire and the Bossman Show, people.